India is massive in size, population, agriculture, a robust economy, and a hiding spot for wanted criminals. This specific criminal, Aftab Amin Panawala, a man that has shaken India to its core for his nefarious acts, is no longer respected by even his own people and religion. He is now labeled as a monster. 26-year-old Shraddha Walker was born in a Hindu family in Vasai, Maharashtra. A young girl from Palghat in Maharashtra, Shraddha in 2019 told her mother that she wanted to be in a live-in relationship with Aftab. My wife and I did not approve this decision of hers, as we are Koli Hindus and he was a Muslim, and we did not indulge in interreligion or intercaste marriages, said Shraddha's parents. Speaking about her father, according to sources, Shraddha as a teen and her father's relationship was so strained. She told her friends and teachers in high school and college that she did not have a father and was verbally abusive to her. In 2015, she pursued a mass media program in the Viva Institute of Technology in Maharashtra, but she unfortunately dropped out in her final year for unknown reasons. Reportedly, Walker worked as a customer service representative from April 2017 and worked at a retail sports job and became a sales manager 2018 through 2020. Walker, however, quit her job during the COVID-19 pandemic to return to her college and get her degree in mass media. While in school, again, she was working at an IT-based job where she met Aftab Panawala in Mumbai through the dating app Bumble in 2018. Walker's parents were not so happy about this, and Walker herself decided to go against her parents' wishes. She told them, "I am 25 years old now. I have all the right to take my own decisions into hand. I have to live with Aftab Amin Panawala and a live-in relationship now. From now on, forget that I am your daughter." She then packed her bags and left to live with Aftab, her father said. Instead of Panawala introducing Walker as his girlfriend, he introduced her to everyone as his wife. Note this, in a 3-year period, they moved to 3 different apartment complexes. The relationship started in 2018, Guinea Complex at 2019, the Regal Complex July 2020, Shadapur Pahari August 2021. These are 3 complexes that they've moved to in the span of 3 years. These 3 locations had something in common that brought them together, described by all 3 owners as supportive, caring, and were very relying on each other. They pay their rent and bills on time. However, it's never safe to assume that relationships are the pinnacle of happiness because, everyone argues. Jay Swall, a friend from the neighborhood, says Shraddha was not socially awkward by nature and definitely did not need any app to meet new people. I think she got on the Bumble app more out of peer pressure and curiosity than anything else. Aftab had just left his job as a sous chef at one of the restaurants at Taj Santa Cruz and turned into a food blogger. He and his brother, Ahad, photographed nearby restaurants' finest dishes to impress the Indian public on Instagram. Shraddha's friends describe Aftab as smooth and smart, and recall Shraddha being rather impressed by him. They both liked smoking marijuana, shared a love for trekking and the outdoors, and often went on long rides on Aftab's Bajaj Avenger. Shraddha had a thing for bikes. Aftab would even often pick her up at a Vasai station after she returned from work, and the 2 of them would go on long rides almost every night, ultimately stopping at one of many beaches at Vasai and Virat. They would sit together until dawn. As they grew closer, Aftab introduced her to his friends, and all of them would often party together. The Vasai Fort, a short walk from Shraddha's house, became their favorite hangout place. There was nothing so far, says their friend, to indicate there was nothing out of the ordinary about their love story. Aftab, the son of a wholesale footwear supplier, came from a kosher family and dreamt of being an entrepreneur. Nothing caught his interest for long. He enrolled for a bachelor's degree in management studies at Mumbai Ellis Raheja College but dropped out after 2 years, eventually completing his degree after a year's break. He worked as a sous chef but dropped out to become a food blogger. It was at Shraddha's instance that he joined the BPO where she worked. Within 6 months of meeting him, Shraddha announced to her family that she would be moving in with Aftab. Vikas Walker says both he and his wife were against the relationship. He told HT that after Shraddha's announcement, he went to see Aftab's parents to see if they could dissuade him. I was not welcomed and they told me not to come to their house again. The couple rented a flat on an 11-month lease in the neighboring suburbs of Naigaon. It was only when they had started living together that the first signs of Aftab's violent streak emerged. Instances of verbal abuse were followed by physical violence. Beakus Walker told the police that Shraddha had confided in her mother about the violence. She told her mother every little thing, but her mother was too unwell to do much. Instances of Aftab's violent behavior became more frequent, as Aftab kept blackmailing her that he will self-harm if Walker left him. This is typical manipulative behavior coming from Aftab, as he is attempting to play with her feelings and fear for him. Aftab's plans were clearly not going his way, as now he is trying to guilt-trip her to play into his manipulative behavior. Walker spoke to several friends about this crazy, erratic behavior. Karan Berhi, her manager at the BPO, says that on the morning of November 23, 2020, he was shocked to receive a WhatsApp message from Walker saying she needed help as Aftab had beaten her up mercilessly. I was really worried and I didn't know what to do, so I called another colleague of ours, Gladwin Rodriguez, who stays in Vasai, to check on her. And yet, despite these arguments, this wasn't the first time. In fact, this is the tip of the iceberg. Remember Rego Apartments? Remember Aftab telling everybody that Walker was his wife? It was disclosed to the police that she was uncomfortable labeled as a wife. They were just dating and not really married. Another point at the Rego Apartments, it was a dramatic time for the couple as they would fight frequently, and neighbors could hear disturbing screaming as if someone was in fear of their lives. Walker's dad knew about this story. However, Shraddha said to never interfere with her ever again, so he kept his promise. Sherilyn Martinez, who briefly dated Aftab Poonawalla in 2019, even while he was living with Walker, he was living a double life. When Sherilyn found out about Walker, Aftab told her that she was an ex-girlfriend he used to date years ago. According to Sherilyn, during an interrogation, Poonawalla told her that he had split with Walker and was no longer living with her. He claimed, "I was the one who broke up with her because she could not satisfy me in bed." Earlier, Sherilyn had alleged that Poonawalla impregnated her friend, then forced to abort her pregnancy against her will. While he was dating me and sleeping with me, with the explicit promise to eventually marry me, he also slept with my friend and impregnated her by telling her that he does not like me anymore and has broken up with me. It was I who introduced him to my friend, who was also into reviewing restaurants and nightlife places, and I thought Aftab could at least help her with clients and give her advice in life. Instead, he convinced her into getting in bed with him by saying he has broken up with me as he was dissatisfied with me. Later on, after my breakup, I came to know that he was sleeping with several women at the time and cheating on all of them, including me and my friend. Delhi police confirms that Aftab Amin Poonawalla dated several women after murdering Shraddha Walker and was in contact with at least 15 to 20 women on various dating apps. In January 2020, Shraddha's mother passed away and Shraddha's father attended the funeral, barely exchanging any words with each other. However, February 2020, they met again. Shraddha broke down and cried as she was telling her father about this abuse and violence that she was facing. Her father begged her to come home, she can work and study from home. But this still did not convince Shraddha, as she simply said, "I am 25 years old. I am capable of fighting my own battles." Remember? Rajesh, a family friend of Walker's dad, recalls how scared and disturbed he really was now. His mood and behavior changed drastically to staying up late, drinking often, and just more anxious. Vikas told us how his daughter wasn't listening to him. "I told him that he was her father, and if anyone could help her, it was you. I said that he needed to try a little more harder and be more committed to make her understand that he was there for her." Shraddha Walker was scared for her life and made her go to the Delhi Police Department and submitted a police report with a blood clot on her face and also with fresh strangulation marks on her neck. "It's been 6 months he has been beating me. Today he tried to kill me by suffocating me and scares me and blackmails me that he will kill me and cut me up into pieces and throw me away. But I did not have the guts to go to the police because he would threaten to kill me again." Shraddha Walker submitted a police report, but December 26, she dropped the police report due to Aftab manipulative behavior yet again. "Aftab's parents are aware that he beats me and that he tries to kill me. I live with him till this day, as we're supposed to get married anytime soon and had the blessing of his. Henceforth, I am not willing to live with him, so any kind of physical damage should be considered coming from him, as he was blackmailing me to kill me or hurt me whenever he sees me anywhere." Usually, they would fight over household items. Aftab kept enticing Walker to marry him, but despite this, she was clearly far from ready to be married. After Walker kept denying the marriage, Aftab, without thinking, beats her when he feels like it. She goes to the hospital due to the underwhelming amount of pain that she was now suffering. She goes to the multi-speciality hospital of Vasai under the care of Dr. Shiv Prasad, as he found a broken wrist, neck pain, back pain, low blood pressure, and numbness around her hips. The doctor asked her what caused these injuries. She remained quiet, but later said she doesn't know. Later that evening, Aftab found the room where her wife Walker stayed at. He stumbled across Dr. Shiv Prasad and Walker laying in bed, as the vitals were beeping. "Who is this person to you?" As he stared blankly, he says, "That's my wife." The doctor realizes that these injuries were caused by him. However, they both reunited again. Aftab was doing his manipulative behavior to go to a trip to Himachal to make a difference and make peace with her. There were times where he does the same behavior, such as beating her, frequently having arguments as he was still bitter about not accepting that Walker was his wife, and threatening to kill her, and this was a trip of peace. According to Aftab, this is nothing but to take control of Walker. After this, Aftab and Shraddha Walker moved to Chhatapur Pahari in Delhi. They rented a flat on May 15th, both under the impression nothing is happening, and make peace with each other. Aftab during these 3 days was back onto his violent tendencies, and Shraddha Walker had enough of it. She said she was leaving for good and never seeing him again, or at least she thought. The tense was high. As Aftab jumped on top of Walker, she was being choked by Aftab. Walker struggled but was not backing down. As she wrestled Aftab, she escaped the first time. However, Aftab dropped Walker onto her stomach as she attempts to crawl away, but it was all too late as she was strangled to death in the kitchen. After killing Walker, he was calm and calculated about it. While in the regular apartments, Aftab wanted to kill Walker for a year already, as he kept threatening to slice her up into pieces and throw her away in a garbage can. Aftab purchased 3 long knives at a nearby store. He goes back to his apartments and placed her body on top of the table and begins to cut her arms, legs, torso, and kept her head inside of a fridge that he purchased the day before. Aftab used tap water to cover the butchering sounds from reaching his neighbors, since he lived in apartments. He used hot water to wash the blood off the corpse and blended the chemicals to eliminate stains from the apartment. Aftab even burnt her face to make sure the skull remains were unidentifiable. Later this day, he went to bed as if nothing just happened. Then the next day, he invited other women to his house to have sexual pleasures, while Walker's body parts were stored inside the refrigerator. Most of these women testified. One woman stated he seemed to appear very caring, didn't look scared, and often talked about his personal life. Another woman revealed that Aftab would smoke a lot, rolling the cigarettes by himself, but also talked about quitting smoking. Another woman revealed that Aftab gifted her an expensive ring on October 12, 2022, reportedly belonging to Shraddha. For 6 months, Walker was missing, and the person who filed the police report was her father in September 2022. You may be wondering, how did he get away with this for 6 months? You have to remember that Walker is now dead, which means Aftab is now in possession of everything that she owns. She knew her bank passwords, passcode for her phone, as he was now stealing her identity under the impression that she was still alive. Aftab's final days as a free man was now coming to an end, as he was questioned by the Delhi Police Department. Aftab was inside of a police station for 5 days. For many people, including Aftab, this is considered mental torture, the belief that he will never go back home. As he started doing polygraph and narco-analysis tests, detectives came back with results that Aftab was fabricating his stories and had psychopathic tendencies. He was clearly a violent man. When the results came back, Aftab was speechless. It was time to confess. From the beginning to the end, detectives knew everything now. The final thing now is to know where is Shraddha Walker's body. He was questioned, and why he was walking around with a bag around 4 in the morning. He confessed that he was moving Walker's body parts down in South Delhi in Mirwali jungle. It'll be disrespectful to criticize Walker's choices when she is dead. Instead, it's better off to share awareness, since India has a problem with domestic violence. India does have a problem, and it has a patriarchal system that still has not moved on. During 2020, many Indians expressed egalitarian views towards some gender roles at home. Egalitarian just means a family structure where both partners share power and authority equally. We saw this in the beginning of the video where Aftab and Shraddha were worked to pay bills and sometimes take turns to pay groceries. Obviously, this is not a direct correlation to domestic abuse, but this is an old system that needs to change, and I argue if this patriarchal system changes, then women would tend to be happier like their male counterparts. About 1 in 6 Indian women said that they had personally felt discriminated against because they are women. The public was understandably mixed emotions. The Indian people were sad, mad, disappointed that the system has failed them. Specifically Shraddha's father, who was mad that the system has failed his daughter. He blamed it primarily to the Indian police for being ideally lazy, since they received many complaints about their situation about her daughter. Examples such as Shraddha's friends complaining about the domestic abuse and Shraddha herself complaining to the police about the domestic violence. According to Dr. Mundada, Aftab shows psychopathic personalities. The switch between charming to calm and calculated is very hard to pull, especially when you bring different women and your wife's body parts are sitting inside the freezer. He is manipulative, charming, a lack of remorse, and never realistically had long-term goals. He did this to simply manipulate his parents that he was doing great, when he wasn't. Behind everything, he was luring vulnerable, innocent women to his world of wrath.